Hello, folks, and welcome back to the podcast. Yo, say Joe to and Love here. Here to go on about Collision for Saturday night, which, speaking a bit to the same tune, but the Continental Classic, another day of the Continental Classic, and it's been fun. It's again more improvement saying to the fact that next year, this was a good this is a version of the G1 Climax and tournament, and it's been out, delivered some good matches. We're obviously gonna go out on that. Another good 3 bouts in the Blue League happened on Collision, but one bit of news that we definitely have to talk about. Thunder Rosa. She is back. Officially appears in action. So, last year, she vacated the women's championship due to a back injury. And she's been out all this time, recuperating, trying to get better. She, has been on commentary but she hasn't been shown, really, for, I believe, Spanish commentary. Anyways, so now I recorded it. I was watching football and stuff, but so when I saw the news and stuff before I watched it back, it made more sense as to why, she was shown on commentary previously in the show. So she was out there. She saved Abaddon, of all people, after Abaddon got attacked after a match by Julie Hart and Sky Blue. So, interesting way of introducing her back into women's action, but the fact is the women's division has not gotten really any love as of recent, so I mean, she could definitely add a spark to a division that's not really hasn't really had much juice in it, really. Toni Storm, we know, has been great, and her gimmick, and Mariah May, she's coming along. Julie Hart, with her development, but it's not really getting much traction. Anyways, Thunder Rosa back, great. She could definitely add to women's division. And next week on Collision, she'll be in a tag match, teaming with Abaddon for Sky Blue and Julie Hart. So let's see how that goes. So, don't want to waste too much time, but nonetheless, let's get into the review, shall we? Subscription, they're on this side. Like button on this side. So, like button, notification bell, etc. Get the drill. So, Collision started off with one of 3 Blue League matches, and very good start with Claudio and Andrade. As you can tell by my thumbnail, I do believe that, Moxley, he's been very good in the tournament. He has run through the tournament. Swerve, has gotten better as the tournament has come along and with his momentum. Jay White, we know how stout he's been. Bryan Danielson, Brody King. But definitely a guy who could win it all, who has not been getting as much love, I would say, throughout the tournament as he should, is Andrade El Idolo. I mean, in his first 3 matches, Daniel Garcia, Bryan Danielson last week, which was a great match. And then here against Claudio, came up short, but, there's a brewing storyline with Miro in the books, which would be fun. But this is actually good because Miro, you have to have him in a feud, making him look strong. And Andrade, with this momentum throughout this tournament, him going in a feud with Miro, with, the CJ Perry dynamic, it's only going to help both sides. So, I enjoy that. But getting this match, Claudio did not disappoint. And I did like the ending because, Claudio talked about getting revenge for Bryan last week in that loss. So it was good. So Claudio getting into the match, he had a pop-up uppercut on Andrade for a near fall. Claudio, of course, had the advantage throughout the match. Went for a giant swing into a sharpshooter, but Andrade fell out of it. Andrade, of course, targeting the knee of Claudio. He hit a beautiful avalanche sunset flip off the top for 2. He hit the running knees in the corner, but only got a near fall. Claudio would follow up with a beautiful uppercut superplex combination, but Andrade would counter into the 3 amigos, only for Claudio to counter that, and good scenario there. Andrade's beautiful back elbow, which is very lethal for 2 count on Claudio. So the finish came, and Claudio needed this match, to stay alive in the tournament, and knew it was going to be good. So how would they go about it? So the referee was taken out of action for a brief bit. His back's returned. So Claudio, he picked up Andrade in like a spine buster like position and then hit a low blow followed with a neutralizer onto Andrade for the win. And Andrade, furious, both a must win for the tournament to stay alive. He has 6 points. And then, getting a bit of revenge for his Blackpool Comic Club foe, Bryan Danielson. Now, very intriguing though for next week because Claudio faces Bryan. Blackpool Comic Club versus Blackpool Comic Club. Someone's got to advance and ultimately try to get to the finals of the Blue League, as finals are starting to shape up. It appears Jon Moxley is already basically in the finals of the Gold League. So, we'll see. But yeah, good stuff here. Claudio, Radicum. The Blue League definitely much closer than the Gold League. And definitely like to see that. Excuse me. So, Abaddon. She went one-on-one with Jasmine Allure. Haven't seen her in a while for AEW. And it is refreshing when Abaddon gets booked outside of Halloween, basically. So, yeah, she has a different look. It's definitely different. Anyways, so this feud has been teased with Julia Hart because the dynamic of the, spookiness of both characters. Julia's been great. Anyways, so she hit like a modified like X Factor DT combination on Allure for the win. Afterwards, Julia Hart appeared in the corner and just had a stare down with Abaddon, and then finally, so Sky Blue, she was out there. We know she's had her issues with Julia Hart. Last time we saw Blue and Hart was at Full Gear in that 3-way match with Statlander. But instead of attacking Julia Hart, Sky Blue attacked Abaddon and getting attacked there, and then all of a sudden we see Thunder Rosa appear out of the crowd, and she attacks and saves Abaddon. And they basically have a sign of respect now for each other. So there was that. And glance back at Hart and Blue, which, by the way, so Sky Blue has been much darker. Her character appears last month or so. And, going from that typical, bubbly girl next door type of character, on the scene. Now she's darker, and Nigel McGuinness pointed out he called her Sky Black. Now, definitely makes sense, with the darkness she's, generating in her character. Kind of aligning, I'm not sure, but it may be aligning herself with Julia Hart. That would definitely be a great fit with where she's at. Maybe it's a one-off for next week, but nonetheless, the match is set, and like I said, Thunder Rosa back will only help the women's division. The Acclaimed, who are apparently still the Trios champions, and we have not seen in weeks, since it was put through a window by the Devil's Masked Men, weeks ago. I've said before, and I think many will agree, taking the titles off the House of Black for the Acclaimed, it sucks because I like the Acclaimed, but maybe one of the worst decisions in AEW history. That's just my opinion. With what they've done with Trios titles. Since then, excuse me. But since then they've made them pink. They've made them to they're able to scissor with the belts. You guys at the point, and they haven't defended the title as much. So, not much to say. So, they were backstage, and they were confronted by Top Flight and Action Andrade. One of the great things about the tag team division now is getting Dante Martin healthy again. Him and Darius, definitely a great duo, young duo to help add to the tag team division. And Action Andretti, we know, hasn't done really anything since the win over Chris Jericho. And yeah. So they lay out a challenge for the Trios titles, and next week the Acclaimed versus Top Flight and Action Andretti. I think we also have to say, because the way they were feuding with Bullet Club Gold, it's very unfortunate for Juice Robinson's injury, because I think there was a plan in place to put those titles on Bullet Club Gold, Juice, and the Guns. But, because of the Continental Classic, because, Juice has been hurt. We have not really seen the Guns. So, yeah. But, next week, the trio has made their case with a few nice wins over the last couple weeks. Said wrong place, the wrong time. They have not been doing anything with them. And Top Flight could certainly use a rub like that. Provided they stay healthy and don't end up having to do any bizarre spots like the one that got Dante hurt for Penta. Yeah, it sucks. But yeah, them taking the titles next week would certainly be good. Certainly. And maybe the Acclaimed could go back to the tag team division. Billy Gunn doesn't need a title in 2023. It was a good moment, I guess, at All In. But since then, haven't really done anything. Orange Cassidy versus Bryan Keith for the International Championship. So they talked about, because Final Battle, Ring of Honor Final Battle, was Friday night. And Bryan Keith apparently had having a good performance, and at Final Battle, so they thought they award him with a title shot versus Orange Cassidy, and Ron Keith had a very good showing against OC. Very good. Do I think he should be? Here's the weird thing, is that there's so many talents on the AEW roster. Could I see Bryan Keith being all elite? Sure. But what does he add that a lot of the talent on the roster doesn't provide? He's very good. He's a good wrestler, but definitely see him more on Ring of Honor for the time being. But yeah, match is good. Keith had a very good sequence, which he wasn't going to win the match, but he certainly tried to make you believe it best they could. He had Explorer suplex followed with a running knee on Orange for a near fall, but Orange got back and hit beach break for the win and showed a sign of respect for Keith, although Keith was definitely disappointed. or actually hit the mousetrap actually for the win. So there you go. Miro. Feels like Miro's videos are always great, with the lighting and everything. So, Miro talked about Andrade, saying that he's disappointed about being not able to fight Andrade during the tournament, but he says he's not going to wait any much longer. He's going to target Andrade. So basically that's what he said. So but yeah, feud lined up after the Continental Classic definitely should be fun. Commander, he was backstage. Didn't really say anything. They talked immensely about the Sole Survivor or the Survival of the Fittest match at Final Battle for the vacant Ring of Honor TV title, which apparently Kyle Fletcher won. Good for him. Talked about not wanting to be known as just a tag team wrestler. So, anyway, so Commander, he was confronted by Roddy and the Kingdom and said how he wants to be, get back on the horse, so to speak. So, and he sees his first victim. So, basically challenge Commander to a match. I think a graphic for that was made. I'm not sure if for Dynamite. I think so, but could be a good match with Roddy and Commander. FTR. They were backstage. Or actually they went out to the ring. So they were out to the ring. Talked about how things have been looking bleak. Talked about their bit of slope as of late. So they addressed the House of Black, trying to make things personal. And House of Black, they appeared on the big screen. And it was Buddy and Malachi Black. I will say it's great to see Brody in the matches in the Continental Classic, really showing his range as a competitor. But I'd be lying if I wasn't disappointed that they aren't doing more with Malachi. But in any case, so they were backstage. Looked like they were in front of a garbage can. And Buddy said, we're basically not trying to attack you. We're trying to prove a point, saying no one's back there to save you. And Black said, well, basically, Cash, who loves you or who likes you? We do. And, well, we made a point how we've been attacking you and no one's been back there to come save you. And he talked about Dax saying not even your wife and daughter come save you. And Black said, well, if we wanted to make this personal, we would have a picture of you, your wife, and your daughter. And that's what Buddy pulled out. Showed it to Cam. They lit it on fire and dumped it into the trash can. And they left. So, again, House Black for FTR. That's fun. And we know a feud's imminent with Blackpool Comic Club, which, only good from here for House Black, which thoroughly enjoy. More House Black, we cannot emphasize enough. So Keith Lee, he had a bit of a video backstage. They went over how Keith Lee, beat Shane Taylor at Final Bell, and hopefully that's it for Keith Lee and Ring of Honor, because like I just mentioned about House Black, could certainly use him in AEW and more. Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander versus Diamanté and Merced Martinez in a street fight. So, this was, so compared to the last street fight with Ty Conti, AJ, the Bunny and Penelope Ford, this wasn't as brutal, chaotic, or I don't think it was as good, but this was definitely fun, I would say. This feud has been on the back burner, kinda, the last couple months. In the midst of Kris Statlander's TBS title run, but now it's over. And kind of felt like a reset. I hope for Sat to hopefully be doing better in the women's division. But yeah, this was a real match though, and definitely different for all these four ladies. I mean, there was kendo sticks, there was tables, there was there was chairs, there was real match. And Indian, statlander, and Willow got the win. Girls on them there. Yeah, not much to it, but a fun reset, I would say, for these four ladies, hopefully. Toni Storm and Mariah May, they're backstage. Toni Storm was congratulated on her recent success. Mariah May was asked about her training and her process of, hopefully getting into her first match in AEW. She asked Toni Storm if she could do commentary or have any tips for her on her first match, but she just said how she's busy. So, anyway, talked about Riho will face Saraya on Dynamite, and the winner of that will get a title shot against Toni Storm. And, I mean, geez. Clearly we know who's going to win that. Riho. Yeah. So, anyway, Toni Storm dressing match. Simple. There you go. Yeah. So, she had her catchphrase, and Renee Paquette was more prepared with the watch for the shoe, as she avoided it not once but twice. So, kudos there. Brian Cage was out there for a jobber match, and pretty simple, drill claw for the win. But what was more interesting was after, as talked about what was next for what was next for the Mogul Embassy. And all of a sudden, speaking of Keith Lee, he confronted the Mogul Embassy, talked about his patience is running thin, so tell he that I'm ready. So it seems like AEW may be ready to finally prolong again that Keith Lee Swerve storyline that was never finished. Perhaps. We'll see. See, the weird thing about the Continental Classic is people are banned from ringside. So, everybody. So, I mean, Keith Lee can't get involved. But say after the Continental Classic is over, maybe something happens. It definitely sucks that feud was never finished. It never really got the prowess it deserved after them losing the tag team titles. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. They better have a good idea for how to book it this time, because they had a chance last time and they didn't go through with it. Adam Copeland talked about the events of their last match with Christian Cage. Talked about, challenging for a rematch at World's End. But this time, a no disqualification match. Now, funny thing is, many people say, oh, not a lot of... Feels like a lot of the matches in AEW are no DQ, even though they don't say it. So, anyways, we'll see. First match was good, but not what it could be. So we'll see. Kingston for Daniel Garcia. Match is good. Kingston now has life after winning last week. And Garcia, he's improving. He definitely still has ways to go, but he's improving. Still no points in this tournament. But, he's definitely showing his prowess, Lost to Bryan. He lost to Andrade, a fun match. Tall order lost against Claudio, but yeah. So, came out swinging. He had big chops. We know Garcia with his stance. That's his big breadwinner. That what people love, what people get a kick out of. Kept reeling them in for this match. So, in the end, 81 with a back fist, swing back fist, 1, 2, 3. Daddy Magic, Matt Menard, was on commentary, and he was obviously pulling for Garcia. Pissed that he lost, dejected, but yeah. So Eddie Kingston also still alive. Has 6 points. Next week. So Bryan faced Claudio. Yeah, Bryan faced Claudio next week. Garcia faces Brody King. So that means we're getting Eddie versus Andrade next week. One guy has to get 9 points. We'll see. We'll see. Speaking of which, Bryan Danielson versus Brody King. Hard hitting, smash mouth, whatever you want to call it, match was very good. Very good. And the added element of the eye injury of Bryan certainly is making these matches seem more brutal in his aspect, because no, this is going to be his last year full time, and he's certainly bringing his A game to this Continental Classic. Brody King, like I mentioned earlier, going into this tournament, as a singles competitor, is certainly adding to his range as a competitor, and has had some stout performances in this tournament. Saturday night, he did come up short, unfortunately, but good showing for Brody King. So, he hit a cannonball, which sent Bryan to the outside, basically hit Bryan with everything but the kitchen sink. Laying a big Larry off the ropes. And another one inside the ring when Bryan was going for the psycho knee. In the end, it took not one, not two, but 3 psycho knees by Bryan to drop Brody and finally get it done. And you kept down big bad Brody King and got the win. So, kudos there. Bryan, faced Claudio. Very key task in the Continental Classic tournament next week. Bryan versus Claudio. Eddie versus Andrade. Brody King versus Daniel Garcia. Everyone except Garcia, are still alive in this tournament. So we'll see. We'll see. But I can't wait how you're definitely glad about the importance, the significance of the tournament. And of course, like I said, Thunder Rosa being back. Good stuff. Nothing major really, but good addition of Collision. So good stuff. Next week, we'll see. On Dynamite Wednesday, we got Moxley versus Jay White. The Pride match then of Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe, who will get their first points or who will be shut out for the tournament. We'll see. Yeah, and then Swerve versus Roosh. That's going to be fun as well. So, keep in mind, guys, for Dynamite, and then, like I mentioned, for Collision next week. But, anyways, guys, take care. Happy holidays. If you're going out of town or what's up. But, thank you all. Be safe. See you guys next time. Peace. Smash that like button.